If you can impeach a president of the United States and push for a serious attempt to not only remove him from office, but also imprisonment, and all this, if all this can be done to a president of the United States, not based on a single shred of evidence, nothing more than the perceived threat of danger, which you identify as danger merely on the basis of your disagreeing with the opinions he stated, regardless of whether those opinions are factual or not, then every single citizen and non-citizen is under threat and in danger. An opinion is not dangerous unless it explicitly calls for danger. If we're talking about actual physical danger, the only way the president's words could be described as danger, when they never included calls for actual physical violence, to the contrary, is if we define danger as anything which contradicts or threatens the validity of the other opinion. If the definition of criminal threat is that your opinion, whether established on facts or not, if the definition of a criminal threat or incitement is the mere fact that the opinion threatens the validity of an opposing opinion, despite no calls for violence, then we are all in danger of unjust arrest and imprisonment, and freedom of speech is not under threat of extinction, but is in the process of extinction. The only evidence they have for the impeachment and the accusation, the false accusation of incitement by the president, is his statement that we should fight or we will lose the Capitol in his January 6th talk, and the fact that he has, for months now, disputed the authenticity of the election process, the integrity of the election process. You do not have to be even a high school graduate to look at the transcript of his speech and see that his use of the term fight is used multiple times in that talk on January 6th. And in every example, it's explicit that it's meant only in the sense of an ideological or political fight of words and of political process, and not by any sense of the word a fight by fists or domestic terrorism. Indeed, he gives specific examples of what he means by fighting in his talk, referring to Rudy Giuliani as a great example of how we should fight, and referring to others as well as how we should fight. And even in that speech, which they claim to be basis for the acts of domestic terrorism against U.S. law enforcement, in that very speech, he praises U.S. law enforcement. And every single politician who voted to impeach him, were they to read that, would know this. And very many of them undoubtedly did and do know this. They impeached him as an act of political persecution, their own action of impeachment being criminal. If you want to say, oh, it's in the context of his denying the integrity of the election results, that's still not incitement. It doesn't matter whether his accusation of election fraud is true or not. And if this is basis for going after someone with a legal prosecution of incitement, then every single person is under threat. This is a real threat. If you are sleeping, you need to wake up and do something. We have to remove the power of these tyrants. This is tyranny. This is not a seed of tyranny. This is the budding of it. This is its sprouting. You do not impeach someone over disagreement. Disagreeing of facts. There are those that would say, when you point out the hypocrisy and double standards here, that this is not a time for whataboutism. Well, I'm sorry, but it cannot be said that the president violated any standards if there's no standard against which to judge. If this is cause for impeachment, even criminal prosecution, because he disputes the integrity of the election results, if there is a standard against which to say he violated standards, then that standard must apply equally. This is not whataboutism. This is about standards and the definition of law. And if the standard only exists in one specific instance or for one specific party, that is not a standard. That is bigotry. That is persecution. That is tyranny. The Democrat Party disputed the integrity of the election results in 2016 up until this very day. If this is cause, disputing election results, cause for seeking to impeach a president, and cause for blaming him for incitement of an isolated incident of violence of people who clearly disregarded the president's own words, then all the more so for those who have disputed his election for the last 4 years, and all the more so for those who explicitly called for acts of violence over the last 4 years, and during his own inauguration in 2017. This means, by the same standard, if there is still a standard, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris must be impeached and criminally prosecuted for their multiple instances of recorded and verifiable cause for political violence. Something which, till this day, no evidence has been given against President Trump. This is real tyranny. We have to do something. Do what you can. Now is the time.